welcome to this session. Uh, this is the first episode of the series of LeadTalks, a series of conversations that I host in order to share the best practices and also the best experiences from the graduates of the LeadTech Global Executive MBA program, and also to reflect how the program has helped with the shaping of ideas, professional dimensions, what the participants and graduates eventually managed to practically do with the learning outcomes of the program. How they understand the role of technology, how they can leverage responsible technology for driving innovation meaningfully in whatever they do as entrepreneurs, as C-level executives, as investors sometimes, and various capacities of decision making. So for this session, we have Ivo with us. So Ivo is a graduate of our LeadTech Global Executive MBA program. And so Ivo is a particular case that we chose also for this session. So Ivo has finished his LeadTech Global Executive MBA successfully, but even before finishing, like some others who are really thinking that innovatively. So he started his executive DBA with us as well, the executive doctorate in business administration. However, this conversation will be around LeadTech. So thank you very much, Ivo, for joining. So my name is Taman, and I'm the Vice Dean of École de Ponts Business School and Professor of Technology Management and Digital Innovation. So I'm the designer of LeadTech program. The LeadTech Global Executive Program is delivered by École de Ponts Business School and EADA Business School, Paris and Barcelona, with the residential modules in Paris, residential modules in Barcelona, and 2 study trips, one to Silicon Valley and one to Asia, Singapore. So in order to provide a fantastic overview of how technology, innovation, and leadership are driving the way that we live, we work, we learn, we communicate, and most importantly for us to think with our participants of the program to understand what are the challenges, what are the opportunities, how to better understand what's happening in the markets, in the industries, in order to drive innovation in their capacity for their companies, for their personal projects, and for making an impact, as we say at École de Ponts Business School, to make the world a better place. So Ivo, please present yourself. Welcome to this session. Thanks for being the first guest expert for this session.
Savan, thank you so much for inviting me. And of course, when my school is calling me, then I'm coming. Although I've just run out of a workshop, so actually I'm in Switzerland at the moment, and I just finished a workshop. And to make you a little jealous, I can show you the mountains. Hopefully you can see it. Yeah, they're little. So I'm really in the high mountains. And yeah, when I'm not working as a trainer, consultant, and coach, I'm the CEO of our family company. We run a small business in the north of Berlin, in Germany. But basically, the operations is done by my colleagues, so I can fully focus on my role as a trainer, consultant, and coach, and also on my EDBA program and all the other things I do around. And also there, the LeadTech had an impact because I learned how to adjust my work, how to prioritize my tasks, so that I fully focus today on my role as a trainer, consultant, and coach. Is also one of the results of the LeadTech program. So yeah, I owe the school and the program and you and the whole team a lot, and that's why I really love to be here. And before I forget, I checked the participants and I saw Patrick is there from the German Chamber of Commerce in Ireland. So I'm really happy that he joined because he saw that we do this on LinkedIn. So I'm really happy that he's interested in this program. He also attended some of my workshops. So special hi to you, Patrick.
Thank you very much. Welcome, Patrick, and everyone else who joined this session. And for those of you who are watching the recording, hopefully next time we can join the live conversation so you can also benefit from the live Q&A at the end of the session. So this is the beginning of a very interesting line of discussions and exchanges around the topics that would be shaped around the experience and the background and the mindset of our graduates rather than driven by the school. However, for the sake of clarity, I would like to share with you what we would cover in this session initially, although the flow of the conversation will be organic. It's not transcribed questions and answers, questions that we talked with Ivo what to talk about. So we want to talk about together in first part about before, then during, then after the program. So in the before part, we want to talk about the element of doubt, how he managed as his personal experience about the doubt that people have mainly when they are thinking, considering about joining an MBA program. So there's one part that people would realize that they would need to do something, and then there's the other part that we actually decide to do something, and then there's the other part that we actually take action and commit and start something. So here's where Ivo would shed light on his own personal experience and how he looked at things that he ended up not only joining, not only finishing the LeadTech program, but also doing something that is much more commitment required, which is the EDBA. So in the second part, with Ivo, we want to talk about his experience from the two cultures, from the two schools, between Paris and Barcelona, between EADA and École de Ponts Business School. So in order to also provide a bit of a context and perspective into how does it feel to go for 1 week in Barcelona, then a couple of months after 1 week in Paris, and they're getting a switch, and then study trips in between. What are the exposures professionally, personally, those immersive sort of experiences in terms of not only learning, but also in terms of thinking, in terms of building, in terms of making something out of the program beyond just graduation and just checking the boxes. So we talk about these points with Ivo. So then eventually, of course, we talk about after. So that's where Ivo would share with us how he technically integrated the learning outcomes of the program personally, in the professional context, also in the personal context, how to sort of redesign his career path, reinforce it, improve it. And that's where we would learn a lot of interesting stories that we would hear from Ivo. So without further ado, so thanks again, Ivo, for joining this conversation. So now I think the context is a bit clarified for our participants and other graduates who are also in this program. So now, before LeadTech, part one, Ivo, are you ready? Shall we start? So I want to ask you, like part one, like before LeadTech, turning doubt into a deliberate investment, like the decision before the decision, right? So, let us begin from where you joined the program.
Yeah.
Joining an EMBA, usually people have doubts, not because they don't want to grow, not necessarily because they don't see the value, because of they have a personal dimension that they need to take care of, and they have a professional context that they need to take care of. So program designed for executives, it's a given that they're busy professionals, and most participants also have some personal and family engagement. So that's why it becomes such a conundrum at some time to think about, okay, how can we decide? So what were your main questions or doubts, Ivo? What was happening in your life at the moment, if you can walk us through?
Many things were happening. First of all, I've had an MBA already before joining the LeadTech program. I did energy management at ESCP Europe, because back then, some years ago, I was running a photovoltaics company together with friends, and I was a lot interested in energy field, and I was already doing trainings and workshops, and the things I knew before worked in most fields, but then I got more and more customers for the tech field, and I learned that they are a little different from these other areas I'm working in. And then I thought, okay, I need to learn more in this field. And then I started some research, and I also knew that for another MBA, I want to go abroad, and I want to experience also the life of bigger cities, because I knew that I would stay in a small town in Germany. And then I started research and checking, and then I found quite fast LeadTech, and I Saw Barcelona and Paris. That was very tempting, I have to admit. These are two really cool cool cities, and it's a great idea to have the chance to study in these both places. Then also the different background, the different culture of both schools was something that was interesting for me. So, and then I checked, of course, for how much would be the investment, and it is the decision to invest something, especially first of all for the tuition fee, but also for the time that you invest. And what I really liked is that I could plan ahead very far when the residential modules will take place. So it was not too difficult to include the lessons and the lectures and the residential modules into my calendar. That was already full back then. And I even decided to attend both of the field trips because, from my point of view, it was very tempting not only to go to Silicon Valley but also to Singapore. And what I did, I discussed it, of course, first with my back then she was my fiancée, now she's my wife. We discussed it, and I got her go immediately to do it because she knows that it's very important for me to improve and to learn and to study new things. And I also arranged it in the context of work, so that I knew that they will back me there, my colleagues, so that I will have time to also fully concentrate in the residential modules. And yeah, and then the doubts were nearly gone. What I also did, I had a workshop in Barcelona back then, and I met with one of your colleagues there, with Letizia, and had a meeting at EADA. And then I still remember someone. The next thing was that we had a call. I was in holidays in Croatia, and we had an online call, and we were discussing about the content and whether I could be a fit for the LeadTech program. And at least for me, I was sure after our call that this program will be a fit and that it will work. And then decision was clear. And yeah, I never regretted it since then. But all these doubts and all these decisions you have to make, of course, they were in my mind. But maybe to sum it up, I'm totally convinced that a lack of time is always a lack of priorities. So if you really want to do something, then you find the time to somehow integrate it in the calendar. And what I felt right from the beginning in LeadTech, and I still feel it today in the EDBA program, that the school is committed to do everything to make this program successful for the students. And I still remember Alain, I guess he's also here joining us in our graduation speech. He said, we love our customers, and the customers, actually, we are the students. So this is an attitude that I felt right from the beginning already before really started with the program.
Fantastic. Thank you very much. Very well said, Ivo, in terms of lack of time and the strategic sort of prioritization of what executives think that they need to do, because everyone considering an EMBA is busy by definition. So that's the point, because these programs are also designed for people who already have professional responsibilities, personal lives, ambitions, and pressures, of course. So for you, the question was not whether you suddenly could find some free time, but the question was to strategize, to prioritize your objectives accordingly, and joining the LeadTech program would be the best decision that came out of the circumstances that you had envisaged, even though you already had an MBA. So that's the most I think interesting point for me, that the value that you, as someone who you were working already in technology, you were working already even in education. So as an expert in the field, someone who really recognizes the value of LeadTech Global Executive MBA as a second MBA, I think that's very fulfilling for us. So very happy to hear that. So you touched base on the keyword of investment, time, of effort, and of course money. So let's speak openly about investment, because an executive MBA requires several forms of commitment, as you also mentioned some of the financial investment, it's time investment, it's intellectual effort, it's in many ways emotional commitment. You're also dragging your family into this decision. I mean, if you want it or not, but in reality, what happens is that, as a family, when you start something, so your wife or your fiance at the time, for example, the support, that was very precious. But in terms of investment, there's a lot that we invest. So how did you assess that investment at the beginning, and how do you look back on it today? I mean, like, at the time, how did it sound? And today, when you look back, what's the return on that investment?
To be honest, in the end, I don't even know anymore what the tuition fee was, and I also don't remember the extra costs for the residential modules in Barcelona and Paris, and also not in Silicon Valley and in Singapore. I just remember that I learned a lot, and that I got back a lot, and still. It's a lot of money, definitely. On the other hand, it's with, if you really want something, then you need to find a way. That's what my parents taught me. So I always had the chance to work until I was very young, because my parents said if you really want something, then you need to work for it. And it was the same with the LeadTech program. So I worked even more before and summer also in between. So I did more trainings, more workshops to get the tuition fee covered, not only by my regular income, but also as an extra investment. And so it was more work to pay the tuition fee, but like this, it also brought a different kind of value and a new commitment also to this program. And looking back from today, I mean, we are not yet in the after, but I can say already today, it paid off several times. So already, or even today in this workshop, I used examples from the field trip to Silicon Valley and to Singapore as examples for creativity and how change is happening. So, and this is happening actually quite often, that I use these examples and these experiences even in my workshops, and I can share it. And also it gives reputation. So I even saw it now when the LinkedIn post was published on for this program. I got some feedback, and I got some messages. So even from this point of view, it was more than worth it.
Thank you. Thank you very much, Ivo. Very good. So let us go to the part two, like during LeadTech, many things happen. There are some things that happen that stay in the classroom. There are things that happen that stay over the study trips, and there are things that happen that we need to share. Like during LeadTech, like two schools, two cities, two cultures, and one global learning experience from these two brands that bring very important academic credibility, innovative capacity, the network of alumni, and the portfolio of the programs that they present. So LeadTech is distinctive because of this gathering of two schools, the two academic cultures, remarkable European cities, of course, for executives that are joining the program. So for that, from your perspective as a participant at the time, what this dual experience added in terms of value that helped you with the decision-making process to join, and then during, share with us also, how did you get this value back, or how did you perceive this value while doing the program?
Yeah, first of all, it was the knowledge and the experience I gained in the residential modules, especially. I also remember that I got a lot of books beforehand that I should read, and I did many of them, not all, I have to admit, but they are still there, and they are a good reminder also that the foundation of this program that makes you grow, and that is also fun, definitely, and also, yeah, makes you stretch yourself, but it's also based on knowledge and on most recent studies. What was a great experience were really these two business schools, because they are so different. I mean, of course, you share some values. You can see it as a student, especially when the faculty is interacting with each other. So it doesn't matter whether colleagues of you from École de Ponts come to Barcelona or the other way around. You see immediately that everyone shares the same values. But the business schools are totally different. So like EADA, it's more this classroom atmosphere. So when you are in Barcelona in the business school, you meet a lot of younger students that do full-time MBA. And what was really cool was to go to Collbató, this campus that's a little outside of Barcelona, for the team building. Then on the other hand, École de Pont Business School in the city center of Paris, a very known university, not only in France, but in whole Europe. That is the backbone of the school with this engineering approach. So that was really very cool to experience these both different cultures in one program. And what I really enjoyed was, especially on the campus in Paris, was the atmosphere in the classroom. I mean, it was very agile. We started in one of the residential modules with design thinking workshops. So all the walls where we were writing on and to work with Maurizio. And so that was all very, very mind blowing actually. And what I also enjoyed during the whole program was the project work. So we were forced. It didn't matter if we had time or not to work in groups between the modules. And we recently talked about it because I talked with Alejandra, who back then lived in Canada but lives now in London, and I talked with Jenya, who sometimes lives in Kyrgyzstan or sometimes in London or Moldova, wherever. But in fact, when we were still one group, Alejandra was in Toronto, Jenya was in Bishkek in Kyrgyzstan. So we had literally like 2 hours during the day where we could meet, so that it was feasible for the whole group. So Alejandra usually was just after getting up, sitting there with a cup of coffee. Jenya was ready to go to bed because in Bishkek it was quite late already. And then we did our group works between the residential modules. But even this experience was very important because this is part of our life today, that we have contact and networks all over the world, and you need to find ways how to adopt not only to the different time zones, but also to the different cultures, work ethics, approaches, point of view, and also backgrounds. So that these projects did a lot. And I mean, you know it best, someone, you challenged us a lot, not to be satisfied with ourselves too early, so to stretch. And even more Alain, who can give very candid feedback. And what I had learned first, that whenever Alain is giving this kind of candid feedback, it means that he sees more potential in you than maybe you see in yourself. So that was also a very important learning. And I'm quoting also this a lot in my workshops and trainings, that when receiving this kind of feedback, it's actually coming from the heart and not so much from the brain. So that's a big takeaway. And now I mentioned already a few, but the whole faculty that we experienced in Barcelona, but of course also in Paris, it's just amazing what people you bring to the classroom that is sharing their knowledge and their experiences, and this alone already is worth all the efforts, time-wise, but also money-wise. And without going too far already in what stays, but I can tell it, at least for my cohort, we still have a very strong network. I mean, our LeadTech program is now over for some years already, and we still have our WhatsApp group. We still write message to each other. So I guess last week I was in contact with 5 of my colleagues from the LeadTech program out of 18. And this after some years, and we are sharing photos of our children. We are sharing photos when we are on holidays. We're asking each other for support when we change our career, when we have questions how to deal in certain business or private situations. And whenever we go somewhere where somebody from the cohort is living close by, we meet each other. So the most far away was like 2 years ago when I went to Peru. I visited Ariana there, and we spent a day together, and so the network is very, very strong and is not only beneficial on a professional level, but even more on a personal level.
Fantastic. Thank you very much, Ivo, for sharing and also highlighting the importance of learning, not only the learning that is happening inside the classroom and through the curriculum of the program, but also the learning that happens throughout the time that you're engaged with that network, that intellectual capacity that is brought around the program, either through the schools in a structured way, sometimes organic, to go beyond, but also naturally that shapes within the cohort, among yourselves as executives, as those who have at least one thing in common, and that's the willingness to improve, and the fact that you know that you need to take a step forward and challenge yourself with a program that is engaging, that requires commitment and investment, of course, but at the end of the day, you don't even remember the tuition fee and the financial investment because there was so much additional return, tangibly and intangibly, that that's not important. So Thank you very much.
Just that I don't forget, I can even give an example for concrete revenue, because when we were in Silicon Valley and Alain organized for us to go to Uber or even to Nvidia, I have to admit I didn't knew Nvidia before. All my gaming friends, they were like, "Oh, you go to Nvidia," so they went totally crazy. But when we were there, it was just the beginning of AI. But when I saw all this there, actually after the Silicon Valley trip, I started with trading, and maybe also because of this, I forgot about the tuition fee, because maybe not the whole program, but major parts of it were paid off just of this, because I started also to get interested in these companies from a trading perspective, because before I was not in this, but Silicon Valley was for me at least a game changer in how to approach also the benefits that I can gain as a normal person from the technological development, not only in my daily life, but also from a financial perspective. So there was a lot of extra value. It was not the main part, but I wanted to share here also that, and I know I'm not the only one that bought tech stocks afterwards. So even there is a kind of influence.
Absolutely. Very, very good that you actually mentioned this, because beyond the program itself and the exposure to the executives and senior thought leaders of Silicon Valley and the gurus of innovation that are leading, that thought leadership of Silicon Valley innovation. And that's the whole role of a participant of EMBA, to see that pole and then to learn and to see what are the challenges and opportunities. So, so then what can happen technically is that because of that exposure, you can also make smart decisions about investment and also enter, or broaden your portfolio of investments and the activities that you have around that. So Silicon Valley study trip is led by our dean, Professor Alain Rosen, who's passionate on innovation on Silicon Valley, and also he is working a lot with these companies in various capacities, some of them institutional, some of them individual. But he has a great reach to the region, and also the network of support that we have through the graduates, through the participants, institutional partners, that help us get this exposure, this immersive exposure of learning to our participants. And the study trips are co-led by Hana, who is our associate director of programs, and who helps the participants from day one that they join on the academic side. So that is something that I think, thank you for mentioning. So if you could also shed some light about the experience, if you want to, like how would Singapore or the Asia study trip would complement that experience in terms of learning and in terms of that immersion?
Actually, I was really happy afterwards that I did both, and also in the same year, because the contrast was so big, and something new and creativity can, from my experience, only be created by positive tension. And from a tech perspective, there's a huge tension between the approach Singapore has and the approach the Silicon Valley and San Francisco have. And Singapore, there you see how state and government can be also important for creating an environment and for creating a space where something new can happen. And the Silicon Valley approach is more like these freedom approach and capitalistic approach maybe, and to experience both and how both regions or cities deal with it was very interesting. And also to have the chance to attend lectures at NTU was amazing. I mean, to be honest, I didn't know too much about this university before going there, but now when I expanded my network in Asia, I know that also this university, NTU, means a lot. I mean, of course, I know from when we went to Silicon Valley, we had the chance also to go to the university there, and of course, I knew this place before, and I'm really grateful that we had the chance to be there, to have lectures, and to meet also great professors like Michael, for example, who taught us a lot about AI. But on the other hand, Singapore was a great contrast program, and I guess this is what it's about. It's not about giving you or giving us frameworks that we can use and just apply. It's more about giving us food for thought, so that there some kind of tension maybe even is created in our head, so that something new can be born out of this. And I had this feeling after these two study trips, and I know that it had an impact because I was talking about it a lot to my friends and to my parents. I didn't know if they really wanted to hear it, but I told them anyway about all these experiences. And you see, even today, a few years later, I'm still very passionate and emotional about these trips because what both universities, both business schools, École de Pont in Paris, in Silicon Valley, and EADA in Singapore, what they made happen for us is just unbelievable. And I'm very grateful until today for the opportunities that I had in these 2 weeks on both places.
Fantastic. Thank you very much, Ivo. So one point that is very important that you also highlighted is that beyond the tools and methodologies and the academic sort of framing and the must-knows as an executive MBA, what we have really tried to make sure that in terms of learning experience, our participants and graduates really feel is how we interconnect them together, how we sort of dovetail the experience of the learning, of the classroom, of the exposure within study trips, Silicon Valley, Singapore, and also the events that we do, like the annual events that EADA organizes in Barcelona and the one that we organize in Paris in June. So all of these, they bring together not only the learning experience, not only the learning, the fundamentals, but also, as you said, a shift of mindset. Like, so LeadTech, the design was to help executives understand what is the role of technology in driving innovation, in leading responsibly, and also in making the world a better place by combining the skill set from leadership, innovation, and technology. So one of the conversations that you and I had, we talked about quality over quantity. When we're talking about the network, we always catch up, regularly. I have the pleasure of working with all the participants a bit more, and then with some, we really follow up after years and we develop further things, So with you, we were talking about this, and you mentioned this. You said like the quality over quantity when we were talking about this. Okay, how many of people from other cohorts that you meet, those you meet in study trips, because in study trips, also participants of other cohorts of MBA programs join. So from those, that exposure, that's a lot, like a lot of executives that we bring, guest speakers that we bring, like the conferences, the events, and then Silicon Valley, like every day you meet like 5, sometimes 10, C-level people, all of that, like what do you keep is, as you mentioned, that are those relationships and exchanges that continue creating value after graduation. So if you could also share on that, that would be, I think, something that our participants would enjoy hearing.
Yeah, it's definitely something that stays, and it's very sustainable and important, and maybe not to everyone of the cohort, but to quite a big group. And these are not they are not only on the surface, these relationships, they are really deep relationships. So we know what is going on in each other's life. We are part of great experiences, like two of our female cohort members now became mothers again. And then we send presents, we send cards. We are happy when we share photos on our WhatsApp group. But we also ask each other for support when something new is happening. Like Pia, for example, from my cohort, now she changed her career. She decided to become self-employed and move to Barcelona. So just today, she reached out in our WhatsApp group and asked who can give her feedback on her business model, because she has a marketing plan for B2B approaches. And this is something totally normal, that you reach out and ask somebody for support and help where you think that he or she is an expert for. Or last week, I was in Central Asia, for example, in Kyrgyzstan for doing some workshops for women in tech. And of course, I reached out to Jenya because I had some questions about Kyrgyzstan and asked her for support. And although she was not in Kyrgyzstan but somewhere else in the world, she was answering. And this is actually was all the people from our cohort that kind of a bond is created. And of course, I also see on LinkedIn other people that graduated from LeadTech, and I'm always happy to see somebody from another cohort. But if you are when you're part of this program and when you spend 1.5 years in a very intense way together, then this is a network and these are relationships that are lasting until today. And since I'm not the biggest networker, I have to admit on the personal level. So in this case, I'm more German. So I can be for myself very good. It's even more surprising that I'm still having regular contact to nearly all of our LeadTech cohort, and just Maurice, who moved from Chile to New Zealand some time ago. He even wrote me back last week in a WhatsApp message that he really appreciates that it's me that is reaching out every once in a while to keep the contact, and there you see already the strengths of this program, that we still create value out of this program afterwards.
Fantastic. Thank you. Ivo, you also mentioned, tell us about, I mean, this is something that we also ask other graduates to share their stories with us, but the impact of the program doesn't wait until you finish the program. It kicks in already as you start the program, because we try to give a practical sort of viewpoint on innovation, on leadership and technology. And that's why for us, we see how people really transform throughout the program, whether as entrepreneurs or those who are innovating within institutions or for other existing projects in various ways. So if you can also share a couple of reflections on that for you. How did it change your own? Well, although, you have your own businesses before you start and still you have the same thing, but how did it help you maybe redefine it, rethink it, revamp it a bit? If you can share on that, that also I think would be interesting.
Yeah, you develop kind of a tech-first approach. So even in my small, maybe a little boring facility management business in the north of Berlin, now we have more technology than we used to have before, and I use AI even now for some kind of work because I have this change in my mindset, and I knew afterwards what I want to do with my life when it comes to career and profession. So where I want to focus on, and I want to focus on this coaching and training area and consultant area that I'm in now. So this definitely helped me to shape this focus. And I know from friends from the cohort that they even changed their job, they changed totally their business, and so far as I know, everybody is happy with these changes. So actually, you're absolutely right. These being a participant in a LeadTech program is not only a learning experience, it's really a transformational experience for yourself too. And I mean, some of the courses are actually intended to do so. The design thinking workshop, or maybe the first residential module in Corbato, where there's a lot of team building and getting to know to yourself. So it's not only about stretching your brain. It's also about stretching your own attitude, stretching your own beliefs, and be open to change not only your environment, but also to change yourself. And this is, from my perspective, at least, and talking for my cohort, this happened to everyone. So everyone in this cohort changed in his own way, and I would not say for the better, because people were great before. There was nothing to fix, but still I'm impressed when seeing where each of us is going to, and seeing some of my colleagues from the cohort, and I know that they will surprise all of us with what they will do in the future, and it's nice to be even a little part of these development of each of the cohort members.
So Ivo, about the balance you mentioned, and also you mentioned the value of these relationships that are built over time. The design of the program that is deliberately starting with a softer approach to self-leadership and also understanding ourselves first, where we are as executives and where we want to go and what we want to achieve. So all of those coming together, uh, please let me know overall, in what different ways did you see people balancing that load of personal, professional, and academic sort of responsibility? And to what extent, what was the role of the cohort?
Yeah, the cohort is the main driver because you cannot escape your cohort. I mean, if you like the people in your cohort and you commit to them, then of course you cannot skip an appointment that you made to work on a project that you assigned us, last minute before coming to the next residential
No,
module.
no. My
So
point was, how was the cohort supporting you?
yeah,
Like,
of course,
yeah.
but this is kind of a support that that you know that other people rely on you, and if you are not in the mood, then you will still find motivation to work together on a task because even if you are not always committed to the topic and to the project so much, you are definitely committed to your cohort. And I see this especially now when I'm part of the EDBA program and also having the brain trust. There I'm way more depending on myself and on my own motivation and on making space in my own calendar and setting the right priorities. But having the cohort was always a reminder that it's not only about you, but it's about a team. Then it was great to have different people in the cohort and to learn from them, and maybe also to experience the tension that you have when people with different views and different ideas are working on the same project. And I mean, what kind of people are joining such an BA program like LeadTech? It's not always only the introverts and the shy people. You have people with very strong characteristics, with a strong opinion, people that want to win, and when put together in a group, this sometimes can be challenging to find a solution together. And but this is like in real life, and this is something that you can learn in LeadTech in a safe environment, but still with a lot of emotion because it matters. And I still remember that although we are still friends today, we had some cohort meetings and some WhatsApp exchanges before there was some paper or project delivery due that was maybe not written in the nicest way. So because we felt the pressure, but in the end we made it together, and that was something that summed up in the graduation ceremony where we were not part of our project groups anymore, but where we were part of this whole cohort, and where everybody was very grateful for each person they met during the whole process.
Very good. Thank you. So for those who are with us live, if you have any questions, please don't hesitate to put here. I try to cover them in the exchanges. A couple of quick questions, Ivo, and then we let you go because I know that you have another commitment as well.
Yeah.
So it's very interesting what you just shared because the human dimension is respected and also considered absolutely and totally, of course. We can't pretend that we always have to keep our calm. We cry in the program together. We shout. We dance. We party. We have fun. We make things. We fail. We fail projects. We prove our hypotheses wrong. We do the interviews, the live interviews on the street. For the projects that we do. But the reality is that it remains really human. We are absolutely fine with it. We try to improve our skills as leading self, leading teams, and leading projects slash organization institutions. So I think that is very interesting. Ivo, do you think now it's been a couple of years now, you have finished already your LeadTech Global Executive MBA. And although the program is constantly updating and every day we keep adding, of course, and leading really the frontiers of innovation and technology and leadership in the program. But to your sense, now that you have finished the program, like for the next generation, is this program still relevant? Is it still relevant to gather executives from around the world? By the way, we didn't mention for those who don't know, in our cohorts, we have about 17, 18, sometimes 20 different nationalities. And the gender, sort of proportion of men and women is respected. So in several cohorts, back to back, we hit 50-50%, which is very difficult to achieve in higher education and executive education. But we managed to achieve that, which is but because do we still gathering people from different background, like diverse backgrounds, cultural backgrounds, academic backgrounds, professional backgrounds, from around the world, gathering, let's say on average every 2 months, somewhere either in Barcelona or Paris or Silicon Valley or Singapore. So is it still something that in terms of the learning experience, that cohort experience, that human interaction, that the physical, intellectual, and spiritual immersion that we provide through the program that we don't cover here, but talking about the next generation that are thinking about doing the program, the relevance of it. What are your thoughts on that?
Oh, there are many thoughts. First of all, from my point of view and from my perspective, this LeadTech is still the most relevant MBA program I can think of, because otherwise I maybe would have already looked for the next one, because I'm never satisfied with things like this. I always want to learn and want to improve. But I remember that I had this conversation with people from my cohort that we said, what is really sad about the LeadTech program, that we all cannot imagine to attend another MBA program, because our expectations would be so high now that we experience the LeadTech program, that actually even good and maybe even great programs can only disappoint us. So that's the first point for the relevance. Maybe that's also one of the reasons why I decided to join an EDBA program, because I knew the MBA field is gone for me. I cannot go there anymore. And on the other hand, especially in the age of AI, these meetings in person and work together in groups and in cohorts and to have the human-centric approach is even more relevant. And it will increase the relevance. I'm totally convinced. I mean, we saw this in COVID when all of my face-to-face workshops were canceled and the future of learning and education were live online trainings, people told me. And at a certain point, I believed it. And then COVID was going away, and I never had so many requests for doing workshops in a workshop room, because people are so desperately in need, and they know the power of bringing people together and have the energy in a room and learn from each other and grow together. And with AI, I observe something similar. So the more technology, the more AI we have in our private and our business life, the more people are looking for opportunities where they can spend time with like-minded people that are still different from them in a room, learn with them, teach with them, work with them on projects, and grow together. So and when we see maybe a little political dimension, when we see all the conflicts in the world, all these misunderstandings, this also brings a perspective of relevance into this program, because it's always good to bring people from different countries, different regions, different cultures, and in our case, even from different religions, together in one program and give them the chance to experience them beyond all these layers that I just shared. Are you a CEO? Are you a Christian? Are you a Muslim? Are you from Latam? Or are you from Europe? Are you from Asia? But just to experience the people after all these layers are gone, and to experience something very unique and very special, and in our cases something very wonderful that helps you to grow yourself.
In fact, for our programs in general, the design of our programs are very interesting in the sense that when after 2-3 days, we ask if they know what they do, each of them professionally. They don't know yet, because we start really by getting to knowing each other as human beings, as people, as not necessarily as the title that we have or the companies we work for or what we had achieved professionally, but rather as a person, as human beings, where we are, and where we need help, where we need support, what we can bring to a cohort experience. So, Ivo, for someone, what advice do you have to share for someone who is considering joining but hesitating? This question came from someone who was hesitating, I
Okay.
guess.
First of all, talk to somebody that was part of the program already. I think I got this week a message from École de Pont to make a call with somebody that is thinking about joining the program, and I'm always willing to share my experiences. So talk to one or two people that did the program already. Talk to your environment if they will support you, because of course you make a commitment, especially time-wise. And then in the end, if you really want something, then I'm convinced then you find a way. If not, then you find excuses. And if you don't want to join the program, you will find a lot of excuses why it's not the right time, or why it's too expensive, or why it's not the right content, whatever. But if you really want it, and if you really want to use this growth opportunity, then you will find a way. And what helped me, I mean, for those for whom it is possible, for me it was good to see one of the campuses and to get a personal feeling there. I mean, I could easily arrange it, but since we are all used to tech, even to have a call with you or with somebody else from the faculty or from the team at École de Pont, it's definitely also helpful to share the doubts, and then at a certain point to come up with a decision. But in the end, it should be enough to see the vitas of all the people that are committed to this program. And I mean, of course, I know that also the people that are coming to lectures, of course, they are also paid. It's their job. But they are bringing in so much more, and they are sharing their knowledge, their experience, and their time. And people like Alain, who is a judge and giving feedback to each project that is so on point, where you see that it's not only like a duty. He really enjoys to go very deep into the projects and to find what is not working yet, to make you and the group better. Already there's so much value in, and and in the end, I think everyone that comes to the solution and to the decision to join the program is a very lucky person, although he or she doesn't know yet. But in a few months after joining, everybody will know. And if you have doubts, it's fine. There should be doubts because it's an investment, and you have to weigh your priorities. But in the end, I think it's always the right time to improve yourself, to learn something new, and to stretch yourself and your calendar. I'm every day grateful for what I'm achieving, not for what I have achieved in the past, not because of these nice certificate from École de Pont Business School and EADA. I'm proud of this, but this is not what I mean. I'm every day I'm proud of what I'm achieving every day in a new way because of the things that I learned in LeadTech. And I'm also happy that when once there's a time in my life where maybe the professional life is not so easy, I know that I have a huge network that I can reach out to and at least talk, and maybe even get some new ideas where to look next.
We are also very proud, Ivo, to work with the people who really understand the value of the human centricity that we have in our approach regarding the programs, regarding having that human connection and the continuous sort of support and exchange with the participants and the graduates. With Letitia, with Marjolaine, with Alan, with Jordi, with Sonia, with Hina, with Hana, and many more, with Bruna, the team members who are coming, some of them on the front line, some on the behind the scene or supporting, such as Nelly and many more. So we are also very proud to have this type of to build this very valuable intellectual capital with people who are real people, human first, responsible in their thinking. So that's for us as well something very close to heart and very precious. So Ivo, today, share with us where you are before graduating from LeadTech. You started already your executive doctorate in business administration with us, and now as we speak, you're advancing well, and many things have changed. But so to end, so share with us also from what we discussed from before, during, and after. So today, share with us also about maybe what you do. You showed us the mountain briefly at the beginning, but tell us what you do today, please.
What I do today is that when I'm not working as a trainer, consultant, and coach, and traveling like 2 weeks ago to Cape Town to support Ayumi from my EDBA group, and to Central Asia to support Alejandra, the COO of Women in Tech in Kyrgyzstan and Tajikistan, and being a husband and for 14 months now a father. Then I'm writing on my EDBA paper. My focus is the influence of generative AI on learning and teaching, and it's a new perspective on my learning experience. It's a good addition. Totally different from LeadTech because I need to develop different strengths and different skills. That's also why I decided to join the program. And yeah, it's a commitment for several years. And I have the plan to go on and to fight until the end to be successful. But to be honest, even with the EDBA program so far, it opens so many gates to sources of knowledge and content. So like the things I do in my trainings and the things I share here and I work with my participants, now I know where to go to find the research foundation for all these things that we talk about in communication, in team building, in management, and in leadership, because of the things I learned in the residential modules of the EDBA program, because of the things that you shared, that Alain shared. Yeah, today I can be very confident when talking to others about the use of AI, that my knowledge is expanding ChatGPT and Claude and Perplexity by far. So usually I work with Consensus, with SciSpace, with Elicit, so all these research platforms with AI, and I can help others by introducing them to these platforms. And I brought more quality and more insights and content to my workshops and my work as a trainer because of the research methods and because of the skills that I learned in the EDBA program. Already there, I got a lot out of it. I want to get more, definitely, but this is a very, very great add-on. And to be honest, this should be also a sign of quality for École de Port Business School and the LeadTech program, that I, even before finishing the LeadTech, I already decided to commit for 4, maybe in my case 5 more years to the school. So if I would not have been totally satisfied with my experience in LeadTech, I for sure would not have joined immediately an EDBA program. So whoever has doubts of joining and doubts about what I said, I guess this is the best proof that I didn't want to let go after the LeadTech, and I committed to some more years to stay connected with École de Business School, and I'm much looking forward to come back to school in summer 2026.
Fantastic. Thank you very much, Ivo, for everything that you shared. We are also very, very happy to have you for a longer period of time. But already, when we had you already for LeadTech, we were very happy. So already joining the EDBA was fantastic. So we are growing up together and growing all together with this beautiful cohort of EDBAs that some of them are continuing the LeadTech and in the LeadTech program as well. So we have the opportunity to hopefully gathering the cohorts here for June 19. We have a conference for our LeadTech Center, and also afterwards we have the summer party that Hannah, Sonia, and the team, and Hina, and everyone is putting together for the alumni. And hopefully we have your cohort joining, but also others from the other programs that we have, and hope to see you all there. So, Ivo, thanks a lot. It was fantastic. Any final words that you want to share?
No, I did already. I'm looking forward to our next meeting, and I'm always happy and always grateful when I have the chance to give something back and to contribute to my school. So it was an honor that you invited me for the first episode for this program, and yeah, and I'm excited who you choose next, because there's such a it's an interesting portfolio of people, and yeah, thank you so much, Saman, and now maybe we can close the circle for taking the time some years ago when we had the onboarding call, because I still remember I was on holidays and I still remember you were sick, but you were not canceling the call. You were very professional, answering all of my questions for I think at least half an hour. And actually, you told me afterwards in the LeadTech program that you were sick back then, because in the call I didn't recognize it, because you are so committed to what you do. And actually, I hope that you felt the passion and the energy and the gratefulness that I have for this program. But this is only the reflection of what you are putting into this program, because this program is actually what you made out of it, because you really like this program. And I would say you love the people that are attending the LeadTech program. At least that's how our cohort felt all the time. So thank you so much to you, Saman, for giving each of these people that mean a lot to me after this LeadTech program the opportunity to grow and maybe also to unleash their potential a little more.
Fantastic. Well, we all of us again, like myself, Alan, Jordi, Marjolaine, Hannah, Sonia, Hina, Bruna, all of us really enjoy every time that we see you, all of you, and every time that we reach out, as you said, you're also very graciously also support us. So this, I think, has been a very interesting conversation. I really enjoyed having this exchange with you and getting the feedback from you about how you also did the program and where you're today. So uh, we'll see you soon, Ivo, and we'll follow up. Meanwhile, at your disposal, everyone, if you have any doubt, reach out to us. Don't hesitate. Connect with Ivo. Follow his work on LinkedIn as well. He's one of the people that you would never regret following his posts. So thank you. Thank you for joining, everyone. Thank you, Ivo.
Say
Talk to
hi
you
to the
soon.
team. See you.
Will do. Will do. Cheers.
Bye bye, Saman.
Thank
Bye.
you. Bye-bye. Bye.